Hi, everyone. Carmine Danisco here. Welcome to Made in America with Mr. Christopher Guerrero. We got a brand new show. We're launching out. Got some great stuff happening. We're getting some good response to this show. It's unbelievable how many questions, how many people have contacted myself and Chris asking us about Made in America manufacturing and products and see what's happening. Let me bring on Chris, the man himself, Mr. Made in America. What's happening, my friend?
Hey, Carmine, how we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. This is awesome. The show is going crazy.
Yeah, I love it, man. Made in America. What a great sound that has. I've been a Made in America guy my whole life. I worked for some, big companies, but what keeping jobs in the U.S., helping your own economy, and watching how fast we can deliver product to the market. How excited people get when we do it. I absolutely love it. That whole chant, right? Made in USA, USA, USA.
I love it, man. I've gotten, and I know that you've gotten calls just from the first show we pushed out. I wanted to ask you, and I know you and I could just start talking about things, but we got a lot of questions on the process and, what should someone do at first, beginning to end type thing if they had their idea, had their product, and they contacted you. And I thought maybe we could use one of your products as an example of the process.
I think it's a great idea. The last couple of shows we talked a little bit about that. We talked a little bit about Tidy Hook, but I thought today the Super Potty Trainer, which started out with a beautiful concept, and now we've got all these different colors to offer. Wow. But this is a good one. This is a really good one to talk about because really, Judy, my partner, developed this out of a need for a child, right? And she had a tool built. And when I got involved, so she had a lot of work done already. She had the patent ready to be released, the tooling. And I said, okay, well, what a perfect opportunity and a great product to send off to the market. And that's kind of where we should talk about where I took it from there, because in the beginning, right, you talk about design and features, which are really, really important in overall product design. We did this in a virgin ABS material, so it's smooth, it won't crack. Some high grade silicone pads. So when the unit it's used for potty training, when it sits on the toilet, it won't slip. It's so important. And it adjusts with your child. But you can move this on the toilet and it'll move and grow with your child. So all these design features came up in the early stages before even talking about manufacturing and delivering to retail and high volume product. It was early on in design.
Wow. What's crazy about that is that we as a group, as a manufacturers, designers, we get bombarded with questions from people who have ideas, and they believe that they could just draw a picture on a we always hear on a napkin and bring it over to us and say, here, how much, when can you get started with this? But there's a lot involved in taking an idea out of someone's head and making it, right?
It really is. I mean, you have an idea, you have a concept in your mind of what you think the problem is, and how you solve it with the great solution. And that starts with creativity and design. And then you got to think about right after that, what's my cost going to be, right? That's really important. And then, is it manufacturable and repeatable? I have so many people come to me with concepts and designs that, would chisel in the garage, which is great. But in the end, you have to, especially when it gets a little bit complex and there's moving parts and springs, it has to be able to be manufactured repeatably in a production environment without having to have somebody try to put it. It has to just flow. All of the process controls in a production environment, it has to flow so somebody can assemble it, box it, and ship it.
Wow.
It's funny you talk about napkins. I'll give you a quick story. When I was working for Ford, we were doing some shock absorbers, and Gabriel shock absorbers. You remember Moreau and Gabriel and these guys, right? We were big customers. Gabriel, I ran into one of their chief design engineers in the airport in Detroit. He said, Chris, oh my God, I have a flight to catch in 30 minutes, but I have this huge problem. We have these failures out in the field and we need someone to help us. At the time we were doing these elastomeric components inside the shock that allowed gas to refill itself so it didn't leak out through a seal. and he wanted to come up with a dual concept on the actual design of the seal. We literally drew it out, I'm not kidding, on a napkin in the airport. Took the napkin back with me to the plant and built a sample tool, prototyped it, and shipped it to him, and it solved the problem and went into production, and we sold millions. But it honestly happened in the Detroit Metro Airport. It really is a great story. And this dude was so appreciative that we were able to solve this problem on the spot in the airport. And I think we saw every new job that they ever offered in regard to suspension components.
Wow, that is insane. What a great feeling, though, to know that not only just sitting there, killing some time in the airport back then, right, that your fix is on millions of vehicles.
Yeah, I always tell them, in this case, timing really was everything.
Yeah, running into people at an airport is one thing that doesn't happen too often, but then to have that time to sit down and be able to fix that issue, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so when I talk about like commercializing an item for retail, like the Super Potty Trainer, again, super great product. Then you got to start really looking at, okay, what's a tool going to look like, right? An injection molding tool, single cavity, dual cavity, maybe it's 4 cavities, maybe it's multiple cavities, depending on multiple tools, depending on the amount of volume. But you got to start looking at some of the basic concepts. What kind of material? What's the cost of the material? How easy is it to get? What are some of the features you want on the design? And then how do you put all of that together as a finished product and have it at a cost that's competitive in the market that when you go to, they're going to get 40, 50% wholesale, that you can actually produce it, make some money, and grow the business. And that's what we did. The Super Potty Trainer. We started out by sampling different materials that we felt were important. In this case, it's virgin ABS. Really critical features, the feet, the pads that sit on the bottom, allow it to sit on a porcelain toilet and not slide. Think about it. The child is potty trained. The biggest thing the biggest fear they have is falling into the toilet bowl. Mm. So, what do you want to do immediately? You want to make this so that it has a back, right? It sits on the bowl. It has a nice back that they can lean against. And Judy actually did it. She was potty training her child with her daughter. She sat behind her daughter as the back to get rid of the fear, because they feel like, oh my God, the bowl is so big, I might just fall in. And it happens all the time. So in this case, designed it with a back, great silicone feet so it won't slide. It's the same setup you're going to use from day one. The child's going to learn how to potty train the way an adult would use the toilet from day one. It's not the traditional type where you're going to use on the floor and have to clean it later. It's a sanitary. It sits on the bowl. Afterwards, stores very easy, and it grows with your child. You can adjust it. So as a child grows, they can still feel comfortable sitting on the same toilet seat from day one, and it will grow with them. So a lot of that went into the thought process early on.
So that's, it's funny that you kind of drill down into that, because one, I didn't really think of that too much. My kids are older, but back then, that was probably the biggest fear. And being able to do that, is it better to have a product that solves one problem? Or, a lot of times I get inventors, even myself when I'm making a product, sometimes I get carried away and I want there to be so many bells and whistles in it that it's kind of a deterrent for me, right?
Yeah, a little bit, because then you get sidetracked and you don't really solve the initial problem you were after. And think about it. In this case, I don't even consider this, a product that solves a problem. It solves multiple problems in that it puts more money in your pocket. Think about it, right? You're going to get a quick return on your investment. What is a typical, and again, I can recall when my kids were little, right? Like you, my kids are a lot older now, but baby formula and diapers were like an incredible expense for a young married couple. This eliminates diapers. What do you spend? $100, maybe $200 a month, and then you're buying a Super Potty Trainer for $20. It's an instant return on your investment. Instant. And I can recall when we finally got rid of diapers and formula back in the day, I felt like I had just gotten raised, right? Because how much money you were spending back then. So I like to always say this product absolutely solves a need and a problem. It's simple. It's effective, but really in the end, it puts money right back in your pocket. And the child sees, especially with all these colors, they see it as a toy. My experience has been with people who have problems with potty training for kids. When you give this to them, they say, hey, this is like, the kid sees it as a toy.
Wow.
Brings the parent in to potty train. So it's like a win-win for both the child and the parent.
That's a great idea. So something like that, which is great. Do you kind of design and do that so that people see that benefit right away, or should the packaging tell them in case they don't get it? I mean, is it a multiple pronged solution?
Yeah, I think you go back to, especially in retail. So this came down to, okay, so now we got to find a way to make this effective, right? Yeah. Packaging, labels. So in this case, we had an opportunity with Walmart to get it in as a test in just under 400 stores.
Wow.
And the buyer basically gave us 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah. So I had the tool. We ran it. The tool was fine. Now we had no label. We had no supplier for feet, and we had no resin. But we had 2 weeks. So I said, okay, I got my group together and said, here's our chance. Everybody talks big. Here's our chance to perform big. Wow. So in 2 weeks, we designed a label, even pictures of my nephew and my niece that we used. We had to get barcodes, right? It was a product at the early stages. We had to find the right material selection for both the actual product and the silicone feet. So the silicone feet, to me, needs little pressure, so as low as weight possible on the bowl without sliding. In this case, it's less than a pound. It's ounces, right? Instead of, because if you don't use the right material, you'll get some slippage, like EPDM, something that won't really adhere to the bowl properly. You'll get some slippage. Child will get scared. The fear of falling in will be there. You'll never get them to use it. You won't potty train them. In this case, eliminated that. So we did all of this. We did testing, molding, simultaneously graphics, and then you got to have a retail box to put it in, which typically takes 6 weeks to deliver. So we had all of this delivered in the plant in under 2 weeks. We use ShipStation for fulfillment, so we do all of it in the plant. We do the molding, you add the boxing, the fulfillment, everything under one roof, and we delivered. We delivered in 2 weeks. Took a team effort of everyone. I use that business model of 30 miles. That's been instilled in me at BMW. When you build product, having suppliers around you so they can deliver if they had to in person makes a difference of whether you can deliver in 2 weeks or not. If I had to bring this in from the West Coast, it would have been impossible.
Wow.
So all that happened. It was pretty intense, pretty exciting. And I was in the plant putting them in boxes.
Wow, that's
exciting time.
That product looks so good to me. It doesn't even need to be boxed. I love how it looks. It's colorful as hell, and it's got a nice label on it.
We can stack these babies. They can stack on top of each other. Right now, we've got them in Walmart stacked 6 per in a shelf 2 deep.
Wow.
So 12 per store, and it works. We have a display case that we ship them in. It's kind of funny you said that. Where do you spend your dollars? Mm-hmm. That's another critical point. When we delivered this, putting graphics on boxes, it just got to be overwhelming in the time sense that we said, let's get a good display case. We'll put these in the case. We'll have a great label. So when you see it in the display case, we can deliver quickly and you'll see the label that we can get delivered in the right time. And that's what we did. We spent our money wisely. We spent it on the silicone pads, which was critical to the application, a good label that showed properly, great resin, great plastic, so it'll perform the way it wants. And then we put it in a white display case. So when Walmart gets it, they basically rip open a display case and have an option. They can display it in the case and see the label, or they can take it out. And what I found in the audits that I did, 90% of the time, they took it out of the box and put them on the shelf, displayed like this.
Yeah.
And it stood right out.
What a great display, though. The colors really pop.
Yeah, and I think we'll go as we get into this and we start getting. We just got this in the Home Depot as well. we'll start putting different colors out in the market. Right now, we offer it only in white, but you can see we've been doing a lot of work on the different colors. And there is a broad array of colors that we can produce, because really it's pretty simple in the sense that a resin change, the only thing you got to be careful in manufacturing, right, is the bleed through when you're molding white versus yellow versus red. You got to make sure that the press is completely cleaned out so there isn't any of the leftover residue that filters in. But it's a pretty simple change. It's easy to do. It's cost effective. And you know, we did the original cost on this in 2 weeks. So you can imagine how much expediting it was. It was about $3.70 a unit. Today, really now having grasped it and having some volume, we're able to do this for $2.30 a unit, and soon we'll be below $2 a unit. That's delivered price. That's
wow.
In a box, labeled silicone pads, all high grade, right? ABS, virgin ABS, all made. Come on, Carmen, say it with me. All made in the USA,
baby. I love it. That's awesome, man. That is really cool. It's that you know, these are the kind of stories that you really want to talk about, because it shows that it's possible to be able to achieve not only this kind of performance, but this pricing and deliverability, dude. You are delivering that product. I don't want to say instantly, but in reality, that's pretty quick. You're delivering it.
No, that was, for me, it was the fastest that I've ever delivered. I say it took us 3 months total, but really, that was after Judy did the tool and already had that. I had to evaluate it, so I'm including the evaluation time. But really, from the time I walked into a buyer, and he wanted it, because it was February, you know, it was that the whole buyer review, product review, that I had a window. That he loved it, wanted it to be seen. We got it seen on TV, working on it on the baby section as well. But 2 weeks is, right? I mean, what do people say? There's the word possible in impossible. So I'm the half full, half empty guy. Yeah, I see it as always full and always possible. And I know that I always bet on myself. I know I can make things happen. So if I'm going to bet and it's on myself, I'm taking it every time. Yeah.
Well, the great part about it is, and not just because you're on the show, not because we're talking, I mean, you cut your teeth on, like, get it done now. You in the automotive biz, there was no wasted time, right?
No, when you're talking about delivering, like, I'll give you a true example of BMW. BMW is a lot of custom vehicles, a lot of different colors and leathers on interior. So my group was delivering to the plant the interior, which was about 30 miles away from the assembly plant in Greenville, Sparks. So when we got an order, I mean, you know, you get your 14-month lead times, and okay, forget all that, because none of that's accurate. Then you get down to 6 weeks, even that's supposed to be accurate, but then you get down to 6 days.
Wow.
That should be accurate. You can call it the 6-minute cycle, because many times it wasn't, because the supplier had a problem with the color, that they had to change the line. So we would get an electronic, I call it live broadcast, an electronic signal to the plant that showed what we had to deliver in usually 28 vehicles. So it'd be in the stacker at BMW, it would drop. As soon as it dropped on the line, we got notice that it had, you know, blue door panel, blue seats, leather stripe, certain features and options on the vehicle.
Oh my God.
We had to pull it from the warehouse, actually assemble it in the plant, put it on returnable racks onto a truck, deliver it, drive it to the plant, and like door panel was 200. It had to show up at the 200 section. Instrument panel 300. And some of these individual, like a door panel, you know, has 40 items on it. Instrument panel, I think there's like 1,800 SKUs. All of these have to be assembled and delivered in a plant. So when the car now pulls up to section 200, nobody's looking, they're grabbing. Looking for make sure that allotment is with the cars coming down the assembly line. And if it's not, the line shuts down at $1,100 a minute chargeback to the plant.
Oh.
You can imagine the level of intensity. This is where all of the Six Sigma and lean controls, you know, quick changeovers on tools and lower inventory and higher throughput all comes to play.
Wow.
And it's just something I grew up with. It's instilled in me. I use it at home. I used to drive my kids nuts with organization and schoolwork. It's instilled. It's in my DNA now.
These are high-end vehicles too, so you can't be
Yeah.
like, oh, just put it in there.
No. The inspection level. So they would get inspected leaving our facility, inspected coming into the facility at BMW, and then before it got put on the vehicle, inspected again.
Wow.
It was pretty intense. So we use the same type of features here, right? When this is molding, it's a 50-second cycle. On the outside, the same operator that is molding the unit. So now the machine's shut. That person at the press is standing around, technically, right? We don't allow that in the lean world. I don't allow that. That's free labor. So now that person's putting this label on. They're putting on the pads. In some cases, we have instructions pamphlet that goes on the inside, goes into a box. That's it. There's no additional labor. Now it moves from that station to either you're building for inventory for next week's shipment or you're shipping live that day. That's it. There is no, we're not moving to assembly area. I think when I had, it's a funny story, I had Tyler, my son, working with me. He was walking a little bit, putting together boxes. And I would just ask him, why are you walking? So I'm going to get the boxes. I said, I know, but you don't understand. That travel time is wasted cost. No, customer's not paying for that. So that's bottom line. And he, a young kid, 21 years old, said, wow, I never really thought of it that way. I said, so let's keep the process, right? The mold is shut. We're molding product. Now the operator's putting label on, putting the pads on. You're now have the boxes prepared for that operator ahead of time. They drop it in a box, goes onto a pallet. It goes into a Walmart truck.
Wow.
No additional handling. And the quality is at the highest level because all the process controls are in place to check it.
Yeah, basically, like you're saying, that gentleman who's running that, who's responsible, he wants to do the QA because he's making it. So
Absolutely.
Having that pride in the product, I think goes a long way.
Even this little label, right? Look how perfectly straight that label is, right? When I first got to the plant, when we first released it, I think of automotive. Automotive has high standards, right? Perfection. You talk about parts per million in rejects, not like 10 parts per 100. It's millions. You want a process that's repeatable. In this case, we started to do a little bit with manual. We realized it's going to be too dependent on the operator, and we want to take that away. It's called poke yoke, right? We want to take that opportunity away. So fixture. This unit fits on a fixture, so the label can only go on one way. Perfect. And it's repeatable over and over and over while the press is closed.
Wow.
So and it works. The process works. And for me, it's great when you have your young, your 21-year-old son with you and he sees it and how it works and he sees the flow. And he's like, now he has knowledge that maybe somebody else doesn't have that he can help train. And he believes it because he's seeing it firsthand. And we're able to do this faster, more competitive than anyone else in the world.
Wow, that's awesome. And that's one thing that, like you said, it's great that they have a light bulb that goes off because you can't really tell them. You could let them know to look out for it, but when he sees the wasted time, seconds add up over the day.
They really do. And what I did was I did a quick calculation on what I'm paying him for the day. And then I said, I'm just going to take what we call a non-value. Walking's non-value. You do a spaghetti chart, which shows all these steps that have no value to the product. And I added into it with what I'm paying him and said, okay, every day I'm going to deduct this from your paycheck. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're not efficient. So why should I pay you because you decided not to be efficient? That's how I view the customer. Why would they pay for us to be inefficient? So what you have to do is jack your price up, which means the price goes higher in the market, and people maybe don't want to pay $40 now for a unit, as opposed to $20 for a unit. So why? So your overall goal is to bring it at the lowest possible cost so you can be competitive on the retail side, and that's what we've done.
Wow.
We've got this. I know some heavy hitters that are in this business can't make this for the price we're making it.
And I'm not trying to be facetious about it. It's low volume and you've got a great price going.
Yes, absolutely. No, 100%. And we're prepared. That's what I'm saying. The higher volume, we'll do it for $1.80 a unit.
Exactly.
Right. And think about for me, the inventory control is so critical. I don't have to spend $100,000 in inventory and hope the quality is good. I can build to order. And if I have to build some inventory, the process checks are on site in the process. It's all Pokio. So when I get it onto a shelf, I know it's a good product, right? Because all the critical characteristics have been met.
Yeah, there's no more QA check going out the door. It's already ready to deliver product that you feel good about.
Quality in.
Yeah,
right. You can't. I mean, you just can't inspect quality in. It's foolish to think you can. Some companies think you can. It's foolish. I mean, it's 80-20. It's a fact. It's a proven fact. You have to build your quality into the process so you can deliver it the same over and over.
Yeah. I feel that when you know that product is being made correctly, that there's no hesitation. It just goes. If the line just makes the product because it's being made correctly, it's just much of a better feeling to do that instead of having to check each one. Is it coming out right? Is it coming out right? So I agree with you.
Yeah, it really, even on the label, we talked about the label. Even in operator eyes, not understanding retail 100%, they thought that maybe a little bit and not perfect was okay. So then at that point, so now I can't rely on an operator at, if we're running 2 shifts at 11 o'clock at night. So I said, okay, we need a fixture.
Yep.
Let's put a fixture in. So that person now is trained to use the fixture and it will be the same every time. I don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
It's eliminated. That process control is built in. So quality is the same every time.
Yeah. And really, what you're doing is you're also saving their job because the product is right. You don't have to keep yelling at them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Think about that. Think about quality issues with if you had to rework, let's say the labels, let's say you did that night, you did 10,000 units and half of those just on the label alone was off. That means you have to rework it. So what does that mean? Yeah, now the whole lean control and process control has been tampered because now you have to add labor, and one thing I can always tell you in manufacturing, you can build inventory that will sell, and maybe you spend too much cash, so it affects your cash flow a little bit, but as long as you sell, you're okay. But if you don't utilize your labor correctly, you never get that back. That person has worked, and they're being paid. So that inefficient now, you can't recover. It doesn't work. So now if you have to go back and rework the label, that's labor and cost that goes against the unit price, you can't recover. Or if it's poorly manufactured and it's a defect in the product, where this wasn't filled correctly or has voids, now you've lost that product 100%.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So that'll teach you really quick when you're funding it, when you're personally funding it,
yeah.
how quick you can learn that these things up front need to flow, have good quality controls, and are effective and efficient to give you the bottom line achievement, the best possible cost to help make this a successful launch.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, every second is so important. That's one of the things we only have a couple minutes left. I want to ask you if there's some product inventors or some people out there who are currently manufacturing in the U.S. a product. Is it beneficial for them to contact you maybe and get a secondary cost or do a cost scenario for them to see if you can save them some money or time?
Absolutely, I highly recommend that. And I'll give you another quick example. I bought some furniture for the patio, and we were looking around, and a lot of it's from China. And there's no way. I'm not the Made in America guy to go buy anything from China. So I searched and I found Made in America. Found some great furniture made in America. 9-week delivery. I still bought it. But so when I hear 9 weeks, I say your process is not correct. Mm. And I know this for a fact. I worked at other companies times with 12 to 16 weeks. And when I was done with putting in the process and reducing the waste, their lead times were 2 weeks, and in some cases, 2 days. So when I hear 9 weeks, I want to go help that company. Made in America, great product. Absolutely love it. Best furniture I ever bought. I had to wait 9 weeks. It was definitely worth the wait, but who wants to wait 9 weeks?
Yeah. Well,
I know I can help.
you bought it, but it is a deterrent. So some people didn't, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some people aren't going to wait. And that was, I can tell you, when I changed that model, working up at Oneida, you know, that 12 weeks went to 2 weeks and 2 days, our sales doubled. I mean, people weren't waiting. And now, you know, the competition was all in China. They were, you know, that's kind of where everyone gets settled in. Well, they're going to wait 16 weeks if they go in China. Who cares? You're not competing with China. You should be competing with yourself to give the best value, the best quality, and the fastest delivery. And when we started getting them down to 2 weeks, we were selling multiple units. They were flying off the shelf.
Yeah,
So,
big difference.
You know, I'm impatient. I don't like waiting. In this case, it was okay. I didn't want to wait, but I knew that I was helping the U.S. economy. And, you know, I guess COVID had some effects on it, right, with people showing up to work. But when I hear 9 weeks, that to me says they need my help.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I can go there. I know I can cut that without even knowing the process, cut that in half.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And whether people like to admit it or not, that's why Amazon has been such a growth monster, is because they realize that people want things as quickly as possible. And it's not even if you're impatient. It's just when you buy something, you can go to the store and get it instantly, but people don't want to wait a few days here and there. But 9 weeks, yeah, that's out the window, man.
That is so true. That's where that Prime rings loud, right? Prime delivery. You get it the next day. It is pretty crazy when you think about something like Amazon's model, right? You order something, the next day it shows up on your doorstep.
We got an Amazon DC here, and we've had stuff delivered the same day.
I know. I've had stuff delivered on Sundays. It's just crazy. But think about it. I mean, that's what we're doing here. Driving made in USA, right? Good products, good costs, right? Great quality and fast delivery.
Yeah.
So you get it when you need it.
You know what I've noticed, and people like yourself or us that take pride in our work, is that I have had executives pick up the phone and call me because they know that they can depend on the delivery. They know you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And I think that's a big part of your success, is that people know that you're going to do what you say.
Yeah, and that's part of, I think, anywhere I've been in corporate America or not, is having people trust me and believe in me. And it starts with results, right? But then when you start building supplier bases, that it's the same thing. It's a good network. People can rely on you. You can trust them that they're going to deliver, and they'll drive. I mean, in this case, we had labels literally driven to the plant. They weren't shipped. They were driven to the plant. Packaging driven to the plant. They were excited to be part of it. It's a bigger plan than just delivering an order, right? And then you open the door for yourself to get other products, and it's a floodgate, and everybody gets rewarded, and it's all made in the USA.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. I know that particular Walmart buyer, because you delivered on time, you delivered with a great price. If he has some space open up somewhere, someplace, and they say, hey, we need to fill, he's going to call you and say, hey, Chris, what do you got? And I know it's going to happen. It's happened to me because we've done what we said. And that's what's so great about it. Such a great feeling that you know you can deliver. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you have other products that aren't in his category that I get now, and can you help me out? Can you put me in touch with the buyer? It's instant. It's an email. 10 minutes later, it's an introduction to a new buyer. That's how I got this into Home Depot. Honestly, I had another product, we'll talk another time, a tick remover, which will be great for the spring. But I asked about this product because I know Squatty Potty had theirs in Home Depot, and I said, okay, this is a perfect match. Instantly got a response, got connected, and here we are now, just finalizing the onboarding process.
Yeah. Awesome, man. It's so much fun. That's how it's supposed to work, and that's why it's so cool to be able to, I said, we're going to have so many great shows, so many cool stories, and it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to start closing the show up today. I want all you listeners out there to please go on out to Google Play, iTunes, wherever you consume your podcast content, to leave us a review, a rating if possible. Going out and find Mr. USA there on social media. Find him at paceimpact.com. Send out a message. Let us know. Call. You can contact me, obviously, social media, Carmine at earmarksourcing.com. And we will be sure to get back to you. We are going to close up, and we will catch you next time on Made in America with Mr. Christopher Guerrera. You all take care.